way up to Technology Ambassador, and then was doing both of those while also attending UTSA for Real Estate Finance and Development. I'm also an Aggie, so if I have any Aggies in here, that's what's up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I live in Austin, so I'm not too against them. So I've been around it quite a lot. I absolutely love agents. I love KW agents. I think KW is awesome. And to be honest with you guys, I go to a lot of different brokerages, and every time I go to the KW offices, the faces, the reactions I get, the respect I get is just surpasses any other brokerage I go to. So thank you guys, and thank you for the introduction. So we've teamed up with all the KW Dallas offices to actually start utilizing Seller Shield. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what Seller Shield is first to kind of get you guys in the loop, because some of you have probably, or most of you have probably never heard of it before. So Seller Shield is basically it's broken into two parts. I like to break it down because it can get a little confusing. There's a prevention part and there's a protection part. So the prevention part is actually what we are doing with the KW Dallas offices. We're giving you guys our Smart Seller tools for free access to basically give to every single one of your listing clients. So now every single one of your listing clients is going to have an instructional video, legal tips, definitions, example answers, and then of course the interactive seller's disclosure notice. This is absolutely no cost to them. So when you have a client come through to you and they want to list with you, you get to tell them that now you have this service that gives them a way to fill out their seller's disclosure notice online using legal guidance. Basically every single answer that we have on that form or question on that form has some sort of tooltip or some sort of definition or example answer that goes with it. And I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of that as well. So then we have the protection part. So this protection part, and I like to nail this down a lot, because as an agent, you guys are salespeople. You don't want people selling to you. You know how that works. So prevention part or protection part is absolutely by no means mandatory. You do not have to purchase home sale legal protection in order to use our service. Your clients don't have to purchase the home sale legal protection in order to use our service, nor does that have to be in place. They don't have to purchase it to get that protection for the brokerage. So this part is what I like to separate from the licensed broker program, because this will be optional for your clients to purchase. This is going to be the 80 hours worth of legal representation in the event of a claim after 2 years after closing. So any claim, not just the seller's disclosure notice claim, any type of claim that comes through to your sellers, they can, if they purchased home sale legal protection either online for $199 or at closing for $299, then they would have 80 hours of legal representation, and Seller Shield is the one that goes out and gets that attorney for your client and sets them up and gets them going with that. So I've had a lot of people ask me, well, how does that whole process go? Well, if you purchase the home sale legal protection for your client, which you have the option of doing as well at a discounted cost of $179 pay online or $279 at closing, basically what would happen is if a demand letter came in, you would send it straight to me, straight to Hunter, Stroh, my operations manager, one of us, and we would handle it. We'd contact your seller, make sure they know that they're protected, and we deal with all of that for you guys. So that is absolutely by no means mandatory, but something I do like to hit on, because as agents and brokerages, we know that we have E&O insurance, but the home sellers don't really realize that their homeowners and umbrella insurance policies do not cover them in the event of a claim. I worked for a legal attorney as well, the legal counsel in KW San Antonio. When I was 18, I did the internship with him, and I saw at least 5 different things come in, maybe not fully went to lawsuit, but they did come in where the buyers were saying they were going to sue based on something that someone disclosed on the seller's disclosure notice. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous until I actually looked at the seller's disclosure notice that they had, and it was like completely ineligible and not filled out completely. So I'm going to show you guys that our product actually solves that issue by making them complete their seller's disclosure notice with us and signing it. So now that we've gone through that, I'm going to kind of show you guys the simple process that we've nailed down. So it always starts with the agent. So all of you will get an agent dashboard. I'm going to be sending you an email. That email is going to contain a button. The button is going to say access your dashboard now, access your account. That is the button you're going to click on to then sign up. We already pre-created your accounts so that you're linked to your brokerage, so you get that free access for the preventative tools. But you're going to click that button and create your own password. It's going to have your name in there already, your email in there already. All you got to do is create that password. If you want to change your email, you can do that right there on that screen. Please, please, please don't try to set up an account. meaning don't go to beta.sellershield.com and set up an account using your TREC license number with a leading 0. I've had a lot of people go in and try to make an account because their email, they didn't want the email we had on file for them. You can change your email through the button I give you. If you go into beta.sellershield.com and you try to sign up with your TREC license number with a leading 0, your clients will not get that for free. They won't get the preventative tools free. They'll have to pay. Reason being is because we link your accounts by your brokerage number, the 4 to 6 digit license number that we have on file, to your brokerage. So that's how we do that in the back end. And if you guys have any questions about this, of how it works, you can definitely ask me. But simply enough, you guys start the process by going into your agent dashboard, which I'll send you in an email. Then you will start the process by clicking a big blue button that says Invite New Seller. You're going to click that, you're going to enter the listing information, and literally you're done. There's nothing else you have to do. You can go back in and look at see where your client is at in the process, but we take it from here, and this is where this legal separation comes into play, is we take that information you gave us, we don't sell the data, we don't give it to another third party, it's specifically for us to reach your clients. So we email your clients access into the home seller dashboard. So we have the agent dashboard, the home seller dashboard. Home seller dashboard is where your client will actually complete their seller's disclosure notice. So once you submit that information, you're done on the left side. We take care of it by giving them access to the Smart Seller tools and allowing them to fill out their seller's disclosure notice. When they're done and it's complete, it'll be sent back to you. You'll get an email notification, and you'll also see it in your agent dashboard. It will pull up where you can download it. The seller's disclosure notice is going to include, if it's applicable, the lead-based paint, the floodplain hazards area, and July 1st, we have the on-site sewer. So those are going to be forms that are also available based on the way that your client answered the questions in the seller's disclosure notice. You won't have to tell us that they need the lead-based paint. The way that they answered was the property built before 1978. If they said yes, our system automatically adds in the lead-based paint for them to fill out, and they have to complete it. So here's a little bit, I did a step-by-step to kind of show you guys because it can get tricky if I go too in-depth. So first thing that happens again, agent starts the sellers. So there's that blue button in the middle. You're going to invite the new seller. As you guys can see, you're going to be able to see exactly the status of every listing you put in. You'll see how much percent complete your client has done. You'll see when they were last active. And of course, you'll see the properties that you have in queue. If they purchased home sale legal protection, or if you purchased home sale legal protection, the shield to the left of the listing will be blue. So after you click that blue button that says start or invite new sellers, it's a pretty simple form for you to fill out. It's the street address, the city and the state, and the zip, and then of course it's the first name, last name, and email of the seller. You can add additional sellers in there if you need to. So if there's 2 home sellers, you can add the second seller in there. At the bottom, it's going to say home sale legal protection. Of course, you're not required to buy this, so you have 2 options. You could say, I would like to purchase this for my client, or you can say, no, I decline to purchase this for my client at this time. If you say you'd like to purchase, you're going to have 2 options. That's going to be the $179 pay online or $279 pay at closing. If you do the $279 pay at closing, all we ask before you finish this whole disclosure process and move on is that you just give us the closing information. We'll reach out to the title company and deal with that. So here's the email your clients will get. If they ask you what it looks like, this is kind of what it looks like. It's going to say go to Smart Seller Tools. It's really self-explanatory. They'll click on that button and it'll shoot them into their dashboard where they'll start. It's going to say your name. It's going to say your real estate agent, and then Amy the agent. That's the name I gave her. That's going to be where your name is put. Once they click that blue button, it's going to take them into this page right here. This is the brokerage testimonial, basically telling the client that this is a legal form and that they need to slow down and be careful while they're filling it out. And it also lets them know that home sale legal protection is in the market for them to consider. So we haven't upsold your client at all at this point. All we told them is it's available for them to consider if they want. There's actually no way for them to buy it on this page itself. But what this is doing is separating you and the brokerage from the entire process of the disclosure. Meaning your brokerage is coming in and saying you have to complete this disclosure on your own, but we're providing you with legal guidance. So it's disclosing that they're doing this on their own. What's going to happen is eventually all of you will have your own picture. So you could actually upload your own headshot in your account settings, and it will be your own picture that shows up instead of your broker or team leader. So for right now, it's going to be that broker logo, and then the team leader picture, if the team leader wants a picture. If not, then it won't be a picture there, just your logo for the office. But again, that's up to you guys if you want a headshot or not in there. That's going to come out around July 1st as well. So this is actually what this disclosure looks like in a broad sense. Those buttons up top is going to be one of our main things. The legal tips, the pop out, it would pop up and give them legal tips. There's about 12 different areas where they can click on and look at the tips, and that's just encompassing the entire seller's disclosure notice. What I'm about to show you guys is actually the legal definitions and example answers we give within the disclosure notice. Then we have the instructional video. This instructional video is about 2 minutes long, and we have Bo Blackburn, our attorney. He works with a lot of KW offices. He's actually on that video discussing to the client what they need to be aware of, common problem areas, etc.
Quick question.
Yes, of course.
In the letter where the picture was of the broker?
Yes.
If we did purchase the plan for them, would it say it in the letter? Like,
Oh, would it say it like it was purchased? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
So if you actually purchased it, it says right here you can also choose to opt into home sale legal protection. What this would say, if you guys actually bought it for your client, is that your agent so-and-so has provided home sale legal protection for you. And so they're going to get a certificate of protection, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. That's going to be in their dashboard as well, where they can see it. Okay, so this is the disclosure itself. So I screenshotted one of the common problem areas we have, which is the previous foundation repairs, and the example answer. I don't know if many of you can see it, but if you can, basically what we do is we provide these pop-ups. So if the client clicks on common problem areas, previous issues, it will pop down and tell them why it's a common problem area and what they need to disclose. If your client says yes to literally any question, I went over this form a dozen times with our developers, and we made sure that pretty much every single question they say yes to makes them provide an example answer, but also gives them an example. So it makes them provide that answer no matter what, but it also gives them the example of what they can say. So for here it says cracks in the foundation were repaired in 2015. There have been no known issues since then. Information regarding the repairs can be provided upon request. So it varies what kind of question they answer yes to, but pretty much every single one has an example of how they can answer that. Yes?
There's a couple of several disclosure notices out there. There's the Trek form, there's
Perfect.
the TAR form. Which one does this
So
populate?
pretty much every single KW office we deal with, the only option your client will get is the TAR form. Reason being, Trek is just not as great as TAR form, in a good sense to put it. TAR form is there's more to disclose. So we will only give your client the option of the TAR. They will not have the option of the Trek. So this is actually what specific listing details look like. If you were to go into your dashboard and you have 1, 2, 3 test drive that you submit today, and you send it off and you come back later tonight and you want to see where your client is at, you could actually click on the listing itself and it will tell you where Larry the lister at 123's test drive is actually at in the process. If you sent him the email but he didn't open it or he didn't actually access the dashboard of his and create an account, it will tell you that. So it'll tell you every step. It also tells you at what time and what date they were active. So down here it says Larry the lister read and agreed to the Texas TAR user agreement on April 12th at 5:09 p.m. So it gives you times, it gives you dates, and it gives you the exact activity of what it was. Right here is if your client actually produced or purchased home sale legal protection, you would be notified right here as well. And right here, it would tell you home sale legal protection has been provided for this client or has been purchased by this client. And it would tell you, and it would also say protected. So what does our disclosure look like? So this is actually really cool. I think our disclosure differentiates itself from any other disclosure that's interactive, meaning anytime your client gives an example answer, if they said yes to there's a significant defect or malfunction with, walls, and they had to disclose a ton of information, the field for them to disclose expands as much as they need. So for instance, we put in here, this is a sample explanation, blah, 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 just a bunch of words. It actually ties the question that they answer yes to for the client. So they don't have to type in foundation slabs dash, this is what happened. If they answer yes, another question pops up right below that answer, that question, and says, please explain. We tie that to the question it is asking when the PDF is produced. Does that make sense? Perfect. So that expands beyond whatever they need to disclose. I've seen literally a 9-page seller's disclosure notice, which I thought was a little ridiculous until I actually saw what they were disclosing. But this is how we actually do that. So we make it possible that your client can disclose as much as possible if they want. I get this question all the time. Can your sellers make changes? Yes. If your seller comes back and says, I made a mistake, I need to add the HOA, I said I didn't have HOA, they can come back and click that Make Changes button. All they do is log in to beta.sellershield.com, go back to their email that they received actually says update or edit your disclosure, and click on that button. There's different ways for them to do this, but the minute they get back into this, it will say Make Changes if it was already executed.
Will it send us an email that they went in and made changes?
Yes. So if they make changes, actually, not only will you get notification, but you're also going to get an updated copy of the seller's disclosure notice. So it doesn't replace that first copy. You have one copy, and then it'll say, you know, Larry the lister went in on April 12th at 7:56 and edited section 1, and then it'll say edited section 2, and then produce another copy above that. So it'll tell you it's a new copy. Yes?
If it's already been executed by buyer and seller, do you have to do an entirely new signature?
So good question. So what we're working on is getting the new addendum that TAR came out with. They came out with that addendum where it's added to the seller's disclosure notice if it was executed by the buyer and the seller. If the seller was the only one to execute the document and they go back and they say, I need to make changes, they would click that Make Changes, and they would be forced to actually clear their signatures before making changes. When they go back to make those changes and then sign it again, that's when they would date the date that they are signing and sign again. So we make it like that. Yes?
And any changes, if there were two sellers, husband and wife, they would both have to go into their emails and do that?
So if a seller and wife, or a husband and wife, and the wife comes in and she says, no, we made a mistake, but we both signed it. The minute that they clear signatures, it clears all signatures. So the husband, if he was the one that started and edited it and had to send it to his wife, he'll have two options. He can send it by email for her to re-sign, or he can give her the option to sign right then and there. So they have two options of doing it. Does that make sense?
You said right then and there off the same email, or she has to
Yeah, so off the same, if they're on the same disclosure, yeah, they would be next to each other, and he's like, hey, do you want to sign? Yeah, I can do it right now. She'll sign next to her name.
So it's entirely different than what we use in Dotloop because, we have to have two separate emails for
Yes.
each signature. So
Yes.
you're saying this can get added to the actual package, if you will, for the seller's disclosure and all the contracts and whatnot. So they can actually sign this document from one email rather than being.
So
The way
there's
we do it.
yes, so there's a little bit I want to touch on there. We're not integrated with Dotloop. That is a problem. That's what we're working on right now. We're integrating with Zip Forms. Next will be Dotloop, and they're projecting that will be in September. So what that means for us is that basically this is in no way talking to Dotloop. I know that's extremely difficult for the systems that you use as individual business owners, but what that means is that you will have to go in and grab that document and then upload it to Dotloop for the buyer's signature. Yes.
So kind of back to tying on that question about husband wife signing. So whenever we're setting it up and we put two different names or husband and wife in there and two different email addresses on the original setup, and we hit send, it's going to send them both.
No. Okay, good question. So it actually tells you when you start filling out the information, it'll say seller 1, it'll have a note right there. Seller 1 receives access. So make sure you're putting the primary seller as seller 1. Seller 2 goes on as the additional seller so that when seller 1 is ready or needs seller 2 to edit or sign, they quickly say send STN to second seller. No matter what, if you put two sellers on there, two sellers will have to sign. So if they, for instance, if they only need one seller to sign and you accidentally put two, the client is the one that makes that edit of taking off that second seller.
So the primary is the one that if we talk to them and she goes, well, I'll be the one filling it out, put her as the primary,
Yes.
as the secondary, and that way when she gets to fill it out.
Yes,
Okay.
because they only have one login, if you may. They have one login, and that login is going to be the primary seller's email, but both of the clients will receive emails. It's purely correspondence.
Okay.
So if second seller receives the email to go in and sign, if they click the button to go in and sign, it automatically shoots them into the account without making them log in. So it's kind of like it's their own account, but it's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a little difficult for me to kind of understand. Yes.
So on the section of the seller's disclosure where it asks if they have copies of an inspection report with a certain amount of time, are they allowed to upload those documents?
Good question. So what we put in there, the language that we put is different than what TAR has. It's notification to them to actually send you the documents. So it says if you have documents you need to upload, make sure to send those to your agent after completing the seller's disclosure notice. But if they said yes to that question, they'll be required to explain. So in the explanation, they'll put, I sent my copies to, for instance, I'll send my copies to the agent of mine, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? But we are working on a functionality. The form we have actually has functionality for uploads. It's actually building that into the form, which is kind of a little bit more difficult, but our developers are working on that. Yes?
One of the things I've noticed is a lot of people don't know everything that's wrong with the house. They don't know how to disclose what they don't know.
Yes.
It still leaves them, even though to the best of their knowledge they're filling out correctly, with
So if this,
situations
yeah.
that are still a problem.
So if a seller doesn't know and they need to find out and they're like, I have no idea. The good thing about our form is that it saves work. So if they need to come back later, if the wife has a soccer game she needs to get to, doesn't know a question, has to ask, she can stop, hit save and continue later, log off, come back 2 days later and continue where she's at. So does that answer the question? It kind of helps them give that leeway. If they don't know specifically, like if they just have no way of knowing, we have the answers provided that we have on there, like yes, no, and unknown, are exactly like what's on the TAR form. If there's no unknown question or unknown answer, we don't give them the option. If they have the question of that, if they say, I still don't know, what do I do? They can call our line, and what we usually do is we'll say, okay, if this is too big of a problem, if they're like, I can't continue with this, I need help. What I do is I usually let Bo handle it. If Bo's in the office, he's our attorney, and usually he'll give them free guidance. It'll have to be a quick phone call because he's usually busy, but we have that workaround for that.
That answers part of that question, but the part I'm talking about is like, a lot of people don't even know what aluminum wiring looks like to burst down houses.
Good question.
A lot of people don't know that cast iron pipes are literally totally trash after 50 years. A
So
lot of people are not
yeah.
aware that copper drain pipes corrode and fall apart after about 30 years.
So what we do is, the question you just actually gave to me is the aluminum wiring. I was one of the ones to help build the form. I put in an aluminum wiring definition by the legal
A lot of
experts.
people don't know they have aluminum wiring.
If they don't know, it's kind of like if they were answering it through the TAR physical form. I mean, we do the best we can by giving them the legal guidance.
Yeah.
But if they don't know, I mean, we give them as much as we can
They just plug
information.
in, they don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why
I
they
wouldn't
have
know.
insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, what I tell clients is answer the best of your knowledge. The seller's disclosure notice, as you guys know, is answer the best of your knowledge. If they don't know, they don't know. You know?
I was just wondering.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, I understand it. I hear that out completely. Yes.
Just to piggyback on that, does the online form allow them to leave something blank or unchecked that's supposed to be checked?
No.
Or on the signatures box, 'cause I know when you not blue, clients can
Yeah.
mess up and forget to sign one, does it force them
No,
to
yeah.
initial all spots before they can exit the document?
So that's funny because we actually did that on purpose, where they cannot sign the document at all without answering every single question they're required to. Some questions aren't required, such as the tax exemptions. That's not a required question. So if they don't answer that question, that's one of the only ones that allow them to actually sign. But no, they have to fill out every question basically until they can sign incomplete. So you'll never receive a disclosure back from us that's incomplete. I guarantee it. The way our
Do you know
system works.
Utility information?
Huh?
You know, the water, the power, cable, you know, that very last page they have where you fill in.
That's not a required question. Not a required question. Yes.
What if they're like 85 years old and they don't do anything online?
No, yeah, I've gotten that a lot. If they don't do anything online, what I like to tell a lot of the agents is usually the broker isn't going to tell you make your 85-year-old client fill out the